All right, the Democratic Party is now reeling after Vice President Harris's loss to Donald Trump. It comes despite months of campaigning, heavy fundraising, and of course, some very big name endorsement. Now some Dems are questioning what is next for the party. Hyma Moore is a Democratic strategist and the former director of the Office of DNC Chair Jamie Harrison. He's currently the principal at communications firm Cornerstone, and he joins us now to discuss. Hyma, it's great to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you, Vlad.
All right, so the campaign, the Harris campaign, significantly outpaced Donald Trump when it came to fundraising. She had a long list of endorsements. The ground game from people that I spoke to was something that we hadn't seen since the Obama era. But now there's this reassessment of what could have been done differently. How do you see it?
Look, that's a very good question. I think what's going to happen over the next few weeks, you're going to have a lot of people talking about what could have happened and what didn't happen. But I think what we have to focus on right now is making sure that we rebuild a party that's going to be a party that represents Americans who don't feel like Donald Trump represents them. And so over the next couple of weeks, you'll have an election for a new party chairman, Chairman Jamie Harrison, who's been fantastic, is headed out as traditionally happens. And so you'll have a lot of conversation over the next few weeks about party platform, about party leadership. Think about the House and the Senate. That's going to go to Republican as well, it looks like. And so there's a lot of conversations that are going to happen over the next few weeks about where do we take this party and how do we stand and be the party that people rely on in this new administration.
All right. But what I sort of see now and here is that Democrats are sort of even trying to understand if whatever it is Democrats are selling to the American people, they are buying. In other words, they're not buying it. The arguments that are being made by Democrats in some people's minds seem to be the arguments that go back to the 1960s, the civil rights era. And maybe identity politics is something that the Democrats need to consider moving away from. How do you see it?
Look, I think there are a couple of things that happened over the last couple of days. We have been tracking the movement of particularly Latino Hispanic men to the conservative movement for over a decade now. And so we recognize that was going to trend to Donald Trump's benefit this election. But the reality is still President Joe Biden, Vice President Harris pulled this country out of the abyss of COVID when they came in office in 2021. They lowered inflation. They upped the job numbers. They brought some hope to the American people. And look, let's think about the infrastructure. We haven't even seen yet the amount of benefits we're going to get from the infrastructure bill all across the country. And so there are real things that happened under this Democratic administration that they ran on and they were proud of. And so I don't think that we're going to run away from those good and tangible things. I think that the issue we have to contend with now is the way we message to people. We have to go out into these states and we have to re-educate people about what we stand for and say we are the party of the people. We are the party that has brought you lower inflation, has brought you these good jobs, has brought you hope back to your counties, and most importantly, who are helping rebuild these bridges, roads, internet, taking lead pipes out, and bringing clean water and fresh water to people across the country. And those are still realities.
I want to get your take, Hyma, on reactions from Richie Torres, who's a Democrat, who had some very strong words suggesting, in fact, that the liberal wing of the Democratic Party is closer or more aligned to the MAGA movement, and also what Senator Bernie Sanders, in his statement released, which is that the Democrats used to be the party of working class Americans. And now, and a lot of people, you know this, Hyma, it's not a newsflash, that many people outside of New York, outside of California, see Democrats. What works for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez right here in New York City, for people who live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, it seems alien and foreign to them. And I'm not suggesting that she's wrong in her politics. I'm just suggesting that when people hear about the things that she's passionate about, they say that has very little to do with me. Even if that's not the case, again, it goes back to the messaging. So how do you react to what Torres is saying, what Senator Sanders is saying, and what are you thinking about when it comes to the future of what the party looks like?
Yeah. And I respect those two individuals immensely. But look, when you think about the Democratic Party, it's a big tent party. We have folks from all factions of America. And when you have a big tent party, sometimes it's very difficult to keep people on the same page, headed toward the same direction. And so here's the thing. If the Democrats did not, if the Republicans did not believe that diversity in coalition was going to be beneficial, they would not have gone after diversifying their coalition this year. And so I do still believe that is a strength of the Republican Party to be so diverse. However, when it comes down to policy issues, when it comes down to elections, it's sometimes very difficult for us to, look what Bernie Sanders said, for us to really, really, really be on the same page. And so over the next few weeks, we've got to figure out where does this party go? Who do we represent? What do we represent? What do we mean to the American people? It's not just about winning elections. It's about making sure that people's lives are better. Look at, think about about healthcare right now. This is going to be something that's going to be front and center over the next few months, particularly as Donald Trump and the Republicans take over. And so I believe Democrats have used healthcare as a core tenet of how they represent working class people and all Americans. And so we've got to remind people what we've been able to do over the last 20 or 30 years as Democrats to help the American people move the economy forward, and then kind of see where that message goes.
All right, Hyma Moore, I got some work ahead of you. Thank you very much, sir, for spending some time with us outlining it. We appreciate it.
See you soon.
Thank you.